Hello there. Welcome to PlayBox Neo 2020 webinar sessions. I'm glad to be with you again, and as you know probably, we've done a number of these sessions, and if you're interested in any of the previous topics, you can go and check them out on our website and our YouTube channel. Today's topic is gonna be sort of a demo session, in-depth operations with the new Capture Suite. This is a new product that we just announced, and it's going to be shipping shortly. So as usual, we're expecting to see you guys at the trade shows, but since we are unable to do that, we try to do these webinars as the best way to communicate. I know face-to-face is always much better. I'm talking right now to a camera, but I know you're out there, so we appreciate very much your participation in this, and it's very important to us to hear your feedback and so on. So I'll go over my demonstration, and my colleagues are standing by to answer some questions, but I'll open the floor for questions and answers at the end, so this way we can kind of all go through them and listen to them and make it more consistent. All right, so let's start. Let me get this out of the way. So, Capture Suite, the name implies a new line of products. Not only this is the first of other products to come later as a suite of products which PlayBox Neo redesigned from the ground up. Sort of new input-output structure, new way of handling signals into the system, and all of these benefits can be experienced even on a channel in a box with the current version of PlayBox Airbox Neo. So typically, the topology of the product is a gateway, which you connect through a simple web browser, and you can control and see, manage, operate multiple servers, multiple users, obviously, multiple ingest channels. Each ingest channels can have multiple simultaneous ingested formats and so on. We'll go all over these details, best practices, and so on. So let me just switch to my web browser, and as you can see, I'll go full screen so it makes it look nicer, sort of as an application, as you can see. So on my left-hand side, you can see here, I have a couple of servers that I see. Currently, I see as a multi-viewer all the inputs available to a particular ingest server. So I can easily add more servers just by selecting from what is available on the network. They automatically appear on this drop-down menu, and I can select one server, give it a title, SRV14, for example. I can make some description that helps me to recognize the machine or give me some more useful information. As you can see, it's down here, and I can take a look at this server, and if I don't like using it anymore, I can just easily delete it. So as you can see, I can have a large number of servers, obviously, monitoring from a single machine. So I'm on a computer that is on the same network, and if I'm remotely somewhere, all I need to do is to be connected to the local area network via VPN or some other way to be on the LAN. So this makes the application very secure also. So let's start with very basic configuration. So I'm going to talk more about the multiple servers now, multiple channels, but the same exact workflow applies to a single channel, like a channel in a box works scenario with one server, and I'll show you a few of this in a second. So first, let's go to our dashboard where we can see I currently, as you've seen, I had two servers assigned to this user. And I can see very important information about the servers, like the CPU load, other resources, storages, how full they are, and do I have storages that are offline, and so on. So obviously, we have the servers running. We go to assign storages to them. Number one, automatically local cache is assigned to the same local hard drive on the server, but the rest of the ingest volumes, they can be either local drives or they can be, I'll go here to storage configuration, and I'm configuring this particular server right now. So you can see I have the cache server, I have two particular folders, volumes for on the local disk, and I have something on a remote storage, which is offline right now. So that makes it very versatile. Basically, you can map anything in your within your organization and facility to make use out of it, because you can use these for broadcast, obviously, ingest applications, but also think of post-production facilities where you can ingest in multiple formats. One format will go for a craft editing for your video editors on their Premiere or whatever video editing software they use, and another format can be for broadcast. So all of this makes it very flexible. Next, let's go and start looking into the inputs assigned to the system. As you can see, I have number of channels assigned to this system, and for example, these are NDI sources. These are streaming NDI protocol sources, or a Blackmagic Design video card. I can double click and see what is the status. There's some simple setups on the card and so on. Also a virtual source, which is from the Airbox. I'll show you this in a second. Currently, the system supports NDI, SDI cards, AJA or Blackmagic Design, and PlayBox Neo virtual source within the system. So if I want, I can add a new one, you know, from, let's say, Blackmagic Design. I can give it a title, you know, make it active, inactive. For example, I have another server here. As you can see, I have tons of sources assigned to this server. A lot of virtual ones, the actual 4 ports of SDI, actually more, 2 SDI cards. So I have 8 sources, 8 NDI sources. As you can see, I have some of them just disabled. So once you configure them, you don't need to go and just delete them if you don't want to see them on the multi-viewer as a just empty, no signal sort of sources. For example, I can go and enable this one. Yes. And if I go to multi-viewer for this source, you can see I have one that says no signal here. So I don't want to see this. So I'll just go back to my inputs and I'll take it out. For example. All right. So this makes it very, very simple and very easy to deal with assigning input sources, setting up basic settings for them, and so on. So let's go services just for a second. If I go, let's say, obviously NDI, this is a network protocol, and there is just information about the driver and so on. But this shows me that I don't have AJA card on this particular server. That's why it's orange. Virtual I/O also, it's default settings on the system, so there's no configuration. But the Blackmagic card, I can see which card I'm using, and I have one on this particular server. But I can make the assignment of duplex inputs and outputs. You know, all these new Blackmagic cards, they are very flexible. You can assign any port as input or output. They're flexible. So you can remotely do this without actually having an access to the machine. So you're directly configuring the driver for the card straight from here from the service, which is extremely helpful for managing multiple machines, which you probably don't know even where physically the machine is, but you have control over which port is input or output, and therefore the matrix that is connected to, you can also reassign it and do things. All right. So let's go next to configure our outputs. For example, right now I have on this particular machine configured two outputs. One is a decklink card. So currently the output of this machine is displaying on a monitor the input of the same card. But let's say I can configure this second output, which is an NDI streaming protocol encoder, which is set for SD 16 by 9 and so on. But I can select source, let's say my airbox source on this one. This output configuration also serves as a sort of format converter on the go, because you set up the output parameters of the output, and then whatever input you assign to it automatically will be converted to the parameters for the set output, for the format, which makes it very convenient. And you can take SDI in and output it as a NDI, or take the airbox and output it as a SDI or another NDI format, and so on. So plus the multi-viewer, you get a format converter built into the system. All these inputs and outputs, as I mentioned, they're shared within the whole ecosystem of PlayBox Neo. So Airbox takes advantage of exactly the same configuration. So I will go shortly to show you to another machine. I'm just remote connecting to the actual server which I was showing you on my screen. So this is the airbox on this system, right? So inputs are exactly the same way configured, but I wanted to go and show you the outputs right now. I have the preview, which is this little, preview here, the normal stuff. But the airbox output, this is the Neo output. This is the virtual output. If I just delete it, and for a second, I'll just close my remote desktop, you can see no signal. This was the source on this machine. So it perfectly integrates here. I can see what's on my airbox output. I can see all the inputs and other sources assigned to this machine. So you have in a channel in a box even configuration, you can open these, have one machine or have it on a separate computer, and you can monitor the machine. Also, the remote interface is we know working in a channel in a box scenario, typically one operator can work at the time, because you have one mouse, one click. Even if I'm connecting like right now with some, let me just add this output again, just to have it running as a source. Just a second to initialize, and that's it. I'll just close this. So you can see I have it running again. So as I was saying, one operator, even if I connect with a remote application, like a remote desktop application, still one mouse can click and do things. But with the new interface on the capture suite, another operator can take care of ingest and, either schedule and manage the whole ingest process on the same machine, because the machines are getting more and more powerful as CPU, GPU resources, and we're taking advantage of all of these technologies. So right now, one machine can do really a lot, but if you're limited to the bottleneck is the operator. So it's a one mouse, one screen. You cannot operate multiple things. This way, you get big advantage to improve your workflow. So let me then, we went through storages configuration, inputs and outputs. We have them configured. So we can also configure ingest presets. There is a one system preset. I'll just show it to you what it entails. It tells that the multiplexer is Apple QuickTime, the codec is ProRes. You can do simple video codec settings. The audio, for example, here I have one stereo pair. If I want, I can go and say, okay, I want to do another 24-bit PCM. I can assign language identifier, let's say, to be stereo. And here I just have to, because this is my second language, this will be channel 3 and 4, right? And then tells me that this is a system preset and I cannot override it. That's why it's giving me this warning, which is perfectly fine. I'm not going to override it, but you get the idea. I can do all of this settings. Also enable proxy. We'll create the proxy file. This is what you're seeing when you ingest. You can do little trimming and you can view it via the web browser and so on. Let me just, you see, I can go and do different formats and different profiles, whatever is needed for my system. You can have one format for your broadcast needs, one format for your video editing or something like that, or website. It's very versatile this way, right? Another thing that is very tedious when you ingesting, naming the files, and the proper file naming is very important for the workflow, because you want people easily to find files, organize them, and so on. So here we have templates. Again, you can create, let's say this one is for sports. I'll open it, and you can see I can decide which data goes into the file name. For example, I have here year, month, day. I decide what kind of separators go in between them, like dash, underscore, whatever I decide. And then match name is the name of the game, which will be presented to me as a field while I'm ingesting to type something right now. Let's say the name of the teams or something for the sport game, right? So you can design many options, like this is month, day, year, month, day, hours, minutes, seconds. It will automatically populate this information, and so on. So let's go into ingesting. So right now I'm into this first channel. I have as a source my Airbox output. I can select which source I can select different source here. Let's stick to this one. My primary template for ingest is the system preset that I show you, the encoding preset. I can select second one if I decide, but I will not go right now with the second. As you can see, I can select which template I want for the naming of the primary ingest, and also a separate template for the secondary ingest. Again, very convenient. Obviously, I can go and put, this is a manual ingest right now. I can go and do duration. Let's say I'm going to do some sport ingest, so I want to put 1 hour. And I want the files to auto split at 30 minutes, make it more manageable, not long files. I can make them shorter, longer, anything that suits my workflow. For example, you want to start making splits on the smaller files because, let's say, your video editors want to start edit while the game is going and ingesting. So this is the perfect way. And just by clicking recording, you see I started recording, and let's say this is a duration is 1 hour, but the game is running late, and I can go and easily add to the duration, like by adding 5 minutes or like increment of 15 minutes and so on. I can do it easily while I'm still, ingesting, add more time so the ingest is complete. I can do manual split while I'm watching if that's something I see the need for, or add markers. And markers, as you can see right now, I'm adding a couple of markers into the file because I'm watching and seeing something that I want to later on to describe, but just on the go, I hit a couple of marks. So let's say I'm going to stop this ingest. And right now, you will see I have this file here. I can easily double click on it. I have preview. These are the 2 markers that I did while I was, watching it. But also, I can go to this marker and do some description, change the color of the marker. Let's say, also, the marker can be a specific region of time. Let's say the other one. I can go and say this is like a 5 second region, right? So as you can see, I can go and set it up. Let's see, this is the area of interest that I want to mark, let's say for the video editor or for some other reason. And then I can, when I click on the marker, as you can see, the cursor is going to where the marker is, makes it easy for me to see what's going on. Here goes to another point. Also, I can go, the description, as I said, I can make notes. Very, very convenient. I can check the levels. I can do trimming of the file, like in and out. Let's say I wanted to do a little bit of cut editing. Again, done. So very, very convenient, very easy, as you can see. And then this file can be exported with all this metadata, sent to another system, playout, video editing. All this metadata is we're taking advantage of this using the files, the ingested files with our cloud to TV platform. So that's another, you map your online storage, files get transferred, and it's perfect workflow because all the metadata carries with the file, which is very, very convenient. Additional thing, I can go and see some info about the file. Additional files, you can see right now there is a proxy, but let's say the file that you ingested, for example, was had a form, some sort of a closed caption or something, so you can add it manually here. You can see which preset was used, and you can add some metadata, title, languages, categories, house ID, tape ID, custom metadata coming soon also. So you can really, really make a very complex, a lot of information added to the file to make use down to the workflow of the system, right? So if I want to schedule, so this was manual, I can go and do scheduled ingest. For example, I have 2 ingests here. Let me get rid of them. I was doing something earlier today, my previous session, so I will get rid of this. And let's say I'm going to add new session. So title will be first ingest, valid from, let's say, 9 o'clock tonight. It's around my local time, right? Duration, again, I can put 1 hour, auto split, and 20-minute chunks. I can select which input, what's it, template, same thing like I had with the other session. Match name, I can put whatever the name of the team is, or something for the game. So this is my first session. So right now, as you can see, it tells me next, in what time, from what source I will start ingesting, and you can see this source here. But let's say I have another session, second session here, which again I'll start today, but let's say I'll do it in a little bit later in that day. Again, 1 hour, let's say split on 30 minutes. Settings again, I can do whatever information I want to put in my custom tags. You can make it a repeat event if this is something that you need to do, let's say, every day between this and that specific time when you want to schedule ingest. As you can see, I can say every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not the weekend, for example, to be valid until whatever date. So this is again very, very convenient way. But let's say right now I'll stick to one recording right now. And as you can see, let me go on the second one and I'll edit it because I assign the same source, but let's say I have a single machine, right? This is a single ingest engine that I'm programming, scheduling right now, but I can have multiple inputs. So I can start recording from another source, my second ingest. Let's say this is going to be the deck link, not the airbox. It tells me that it overlaps. Oh, of course, because I have, let me just get rid of this one and redo it, because I assigned times that overlap with the same engine, so it tells me that I cannot schedule it on this machine because it's not available. So let's say some name, valid from 23:55, apply. I want, again, 1 hour, splitting on 30 seconds, and I want decklink to be my source. So right now, you can see that next will be this source, airbox output 1, starting at the designated time, and it shows me what's the following after this ingest on the same machine, so I can see, let's say, is there a signal? I can monitor it, gives me a very nice idea what's going on. So this makes it really extremely easy to do this automatic ingest, the scheduling. Also, you have a glance view of multiple channels and multiple ingests, and you can control very complex environment. Right. What else? Again, if you go, you can use this as a multi-viewer. Check out number of sources within the system as input and output, as I said, and you can see the status of the machines. Let's say ingest, I see on this particular server, I have 2 ingests configured, and they're both idle, so you can, see how to manage your resources the best. So this will kind of conclude my presentation, and I would love to open the floor for questions and answers. Hello, everybody. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. If you come up with questions a little bit later on, all my colleagues are available. Talk to your sales rep, talk to our engineers. How to install this when it becomes available in the next couple of weeks. The best way, of course, is keep your software maintenance contracts up to date. So makes it very simple to immediately update and talk to our engineers to assess your particular configuration, give you the best advice, how to configure it, how to do everything. On a single service, how many intakes we can control? You can control any number of ingest engines that you can configure on the server. The limit, as you know, it's the hardware itself, like how powerful your single server machine is. Like if it can take 2 or 3 or 4, depends on the format you want to ingest. That's the only, you can, as you can see, this is like one ingest. I have one server here that I have 2 ingests configured because it's a smaller server. But let's say if I go here to the second machine, which has 7 right now, I can ingest 7 servers, or 7 inputs, but again, it has 2 channels, but I can configure multiple channels, depends on how powerful the machine is. You can configure a lot. How many files you can transcode from input at the same time? You can ingest, you're basically ingesting 3 files. You can assign to ingest proxy from the source, which shows me these previews and stuff that I showed you here on my ingest, let's say on the manual ingest, right? shows me these files and all these other useful information, primary and secondary. So you're ingesting three. Software does not limit the number of channels. The number of channels is limited only by the hardware, because these are hardware resources. As you can see, I said I was describing in the beginning, I can go and say add more servers. As you can see, I have tons of servers here on the network. I can assign another one, and then assign, this is whatever, number 6. I have to give it some. So you see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 machines, each having different amount of ingest channels assigned to each one, and different amount of input channels. You can assign, depends on how many channels you want to have, which video card, and so on. So the system can get very, very, complex, and you can have a single point control over great number of servers and ingest channels. Just give me a second, because when you paste HTML code, yeah, you can open, as you can see, this is a web browser, as I showed you, and you can just open it on another computer. It's a stream. Depends how you organize your users, policies, and stuff, and they can take a look at the server and look at the screens. Absolutely. You can assign this. So another. For example, when you see a particular job that passed, you can go and see operations, which gives you information, sort of what happened, operations that happen on this particular ingest, like something was deleted by whom. You can see the file was transferred, where to export, to channel, all of this you can see here. Is the file splitting frame accurate, is asking. Yes, it is. Actually, there is another sort of fail-safe in the system. If your storage is getting full, and it automatically will stop ingesting when it gets to the last amount of space. This way the file will close and it will be still usable, because if you just open, if you leave open headers unfinished MPEG-4 file, for example, it may become corrupted and so on. It will, of course it will alert you and so on. Can you have mix of input card testing in Azure? Yes, as I showed here in services, you can assign all of this to the system. Currently, just this server does not have Azure, but if I had it, I will see it here, and I can do the same type of configuration, input, outputs. Again, the driver of the cards. Azure cards are also like Blackmagic. You can assign the inputs and the outputs based on whatever more inputs, more outputs you need from the system, and so on. What is the ideal data network for transfer flowing well? I mean, the best, the ideal will be at least gigabit network to transfer stuff, but the faster the better. it's up to your, to create, depends again on the file size you want. I mean, if you're ingesting 4K files and something like this, obviously we will need faster network in order to transfer and so on, because the files can get pretty big at one point, so that's important. Basically, you see how much is the bit rate of the encoding, and you can kind of calculate how much files you can transfer, over the network. But I guess in today's systems, a gigabit network is kind of given. Anything above that, it's all good and, added bonus. Of course, if you want to ingest with some very high rate, it's advisable to ingest to a local storage on the machine and then transfer. Because if you can't assure that the network, your network is not properly designed to handle large volumes of data, may lead to corruptions and so on. No, there is no limitation. The transfer is an offline process. Edit while ingest functionality. Okay. As I mentioned here, once you start splitting, let me see something. Let's say here that has a. This is. Let me see something that has. Basically, once you start splitting, I'll have more than one file here, and I can start doing stuff like I showed you. Do in, out points, on the file. Add metadata. Do stuff. Just after it's finished. If you want to start doing, edit while ingest, it does not. You cannot edit the file while it's being ingested. You wait until the split happens. Oh, sorry. I misunderstood what you're saying. So you can just open the file and start using it. And if you're using something like Premiere, you have to just make the proper setting there that just basically updates the file, because the file grows with time. So you have to just do the proper setting in Premiere. I remember there is a specific setting to tell him that, to update the file so you can see it how it, let's say you put it on your timeline and you can see it how it grows. But that's the only thing. That we actually don't do more than this type of edits that I've shown you here. You can do them while the file is ingesting, adding metadata and stuff like this. Let's say while I'm ingesting, I did a couple markers and stuff, so I can keep adding some metadata and type of thing. But all, the edits here are done as I showed you. They're of simple kind. In, out, split the file. Type this type of thing. Here I can split. And do things. Here, but if you want to go with a third-party system and do the editing, again, there's just settings from the particular video editing software, so you can, assign it. Okay. I think that answers the question. All right, so if we don't have, are the tags created in and out metadata interpreted in editing software? This is, the tags are, they're metadata, and depends on the video editing platform to interpret this particular type of tags. But our systems fully support our metadata tagging system, of course. Also, our system integrates perfectly with third-party control systems, because we provide API that you can write simply everything that you see here that I do through the browser. Obviously, you can do you can control it from another service. Let's say you have a scheduling system or something, you can control directly the system. So if you already have something to plan your scheduling and so on, and you can just control the system without even opening a browser. It will talk directly to our gateway and use it. Like I showed you here previously, I did some markers on the files while I was ingesting, and then I can go later, open the file and add descriptions, different things. The system will capture CC if it's in an appropriate place in the, let's say, SDI stream or something like this. Let me just go here into the inputs. Sorry, just services, Blackmagic design. I can add it here. I can go and when I'm, let's say here, decide want to create, decide the formats. You can also enable CC, for example, here, ATS CC. I can enable it here, and it's gonna go, or MCC, depends, let's say, how you're bringing subtitles and stuff like this. This, again, it matters on the particular ingest preset, so you can just decide it, for this profile, for the other profile. You don't want. Yes, the loudness control is also supported, so the file will be just the gain will be adjusted. Also, keep in mind we support loudness in the playout, so without modifying the file. So it depends where you want to do that control. Typically, loudness works the best once you ingest, then the file afterwards is analyzed, because while ingesting you can only check the short-term loudness and momentary loudness, but the program loudness only you can get over time, obviously. And depends what you're shooting for, because for the short term to bring it into certain parameters, you have to start applying some processing that may not be desirable, as compression and limiting and so on. So the best way is ingesting, and then the file is analyzed, metadata is generated, and then the playout knows what to do with this file, because where it's its average loudness and so on, and it gets adjusted to match whatever the particular format is set for this playout. For example, minus 23, loudness units, or 24, minus 24 in the USA. All right. Again, if you have any questions that we did not cover tonight, just talk to your local sales rep. Our engineers are available. We'll put you in touch. I understand, everybody has a different workflow. It's going to be completely different set of questions, and there's no two setups exactly the same. So we definitely can help you with the specific advice on your specific setup to get the most out of it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So we'll continue doing this. Thank you, guys. We'll continue doing these webinars, and also we want to hear feedback from you. If you have any interest in a specific topic, please write to us, and we'll try to make a webinar with this topic, to cover all the interesting stuff that you like to hear more. Thank you very much, guys. hope to see you in our next webinar. Keep an eye on your mailbox, and we'll announce shortly when it's going to be in the coming weeks, and what will be the topic. And we hope to give you more and more, share more and more information to make use of it in your everyday task. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.